Good morning to you. It is 9 o'clock on a Thursday morning, December 11th. You're watching Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I'm Jane Monreal. So we have a couple of stories we are following locally. Just want to let you know, in an interesting turn of events, we have learned the victim in last Friday night's light rail stabbing, the latest one, putting, again, Charlotte's safety and transit in the national spotlight once again. Well, the victim, Kenyon Doby, is actually being arrested. He is, these are separate arrest warrants from October and November incidents. He is making an appearance, an arraignment appearance this morning at 9 o'clock. Our Destiny Richards is there at the Mecklenburg County Courthouse, but she filed this report earlier on WCNC Plus. We'll get you caught up now here on Live Impact News.
24-year-old Kenyon Doby, who was just hospitalized after last week's light rail stabbing, is now facing multiple charges of his own in a Mecklenburg County courtroom in just under an hour. Now, according to court and jail records, Doby was taken into custody just after 10:30 last night. He faces charges from an incident in October, including assault on a pregnant woman, domestic violence, and 3 counts of communicating threats, plus an updated warrant listing a felony charge charge for serious bodily injury. According to the warrant, a female victim was punched in the face and suffered a facial fracture. These charges are completely unrelated to the light rail stabbing where Dopey was the victim after intervening in self-defense. He described the attack in a TikTok live stream, saying he's been dealing with blood in his lungs from the injury. The community has rallied around him with a GoFundMe nearing $100,000 as of this morning. Now, Dopey remains in jail, and again, in under an hour now, he will be in court for his first appearance. That's at 9 a.m. We'll be sure to bring you the latest from that on WCNC Plus and WCNC Charlotte.
And again, Destiny will have the latest on WCNC Charlotte midday starting at 11:30. Also want to let you know the stabbing suspect, Carlos Brown, he is expected in federal court later on this morning at 10:30. He was the stabbing suspect in Irina Zarutska's case back in August. Cameras are not allowed in federal court, but we'll bring you the update there, whatever comes of his next court appearance. Well, also this morning, we're following the story of a missing Charlotte mother, Miss Baker, whose family was out on a search yesterday, forming a search party yesterday off Beatties Ford Road. And our Jesse Pierce spoke to a number of her loved ones looking for her, showing messages of support and optimism and determination as they try to find her. We're going to play these interviews. They are in its raw form, and we'll start with the woman's father now here on Live Impact News.
Talk to me about what it's been like these last few days.
I can't eat, I can't sleep. We just been rolling, me and my brother. We out here looking, I'm not giving up. My wife and my son think they on North Trine, looking. Huh? Oh, okay. Yes. So I don't know what to do. Like I said, we ain't gonna stop looking. Like I say, I think she's alive. I'm not gonna think nothing negative. We're gonna find my daughter. We're gonna find her.
What do you want people to know about your daughter? I know she was also a mom.
Sweet. She's sweet. I mean, never been in no trouble or nothing. I don't know how she got contact with this dude. That way everybody can't understand. Everybody can't understand how she got in contact with him.
Do you think that she is in danger?
I think so. I think we can't find her. She can't. The phone's off. We can't. One going to voicemail. The other one, they say the battery's dead. So we can't. So she have two phones. So I can't. I don't know.
The police shared photos showing the last area where she was at.
Yes.
Is that an area she's been or frequented?
No.
Or?
That's where he used to hang out at. That's his stomping ground.
I was going to follow up with that area because I know that area a little bit.
Yes.
So I was going to ask if that's a regular area because it didn't seem like it was.
No.
Are you afraid for your daughter?
Yes. I don't know if they got capable of.
What have you heard from police so far about
Nothing. In fact, on the way here, we seen two police going in the woods, and I was at the store trying to find see what they on film, and I remember them. So I asked them were they looking for this girl, and they said yes. They was down in the woods down here.
Who did you ask?
The cops.
And the officer said they were looking for her?
Yes, they was looking for her.
Got it. And that that could just be them searching.
Right,
so
searching.
Right.
Right.
Have you spoken to the people at the gas station? What have you heard?
No, they said they haven't heard anything. Cause we just came. I went down there about 10 o'clock. About 9 o'clock this morning. So we're going back and forth. But like I say, the word is out. I'm getting phone calls. My phone will stop ringing at all. I can't eat. I can't sleep. I don't know what to do.
Is the community reaching out to you?
Oh yeah, they know. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
What are you doing? What is your message to your daughter?
Keep your head up. We're gonna find you. We're gonna find you, baby. I'm not giving up. We're gonna find you.
And then talk to me about what you guys have been doing. Who is helping? What you guys are doing?
I got my whole family. My whole family. Like I say, my brother from Winston-Salem. He's down here with me. That's my brother. So we riding together. We all splitting up. My family is known. We known. So.
And kind of just walk me through what you guys are doing. You guys are passing church. Could kind of walk me through.
We passing flyers. We are going all the dead end streets. You know, a place that you would think that they will hide the car. You know. So we ain't stopping.
So tell me, you're her friend. This is not something you say that, you know, she doesn't just not respond to calls. Tell me, I guess, when did you get concerned with this?
I seen Thursday was the last time I spoke with her, just as well as everyone else. She was supposed to meet up with me before she went home. We never heard from her. Friday, we reached out. We was texting, no delivery. The messages wasn't being delivered. And once I spoke with her brother and another friend of ours, we got concerned.
And so the messages weren't going through?
No, phone calls wasn't going through. Her phones was off. She wasn't active on social media or nothing. No one could reach her.
Is she typically on social?
No, she posts every day. Like, she's on social media. She posts every day. She responds quickly. She calls and check in. So that's not like her. So that what made us worried.
You know, tell me a little bit about who she is as a person for those watching.
She is the sweetest, she is one of my sweetest friends. She's actually my bougie friend. She's like, oh my God, she'll give her your shirt off her back. Like, she's so sweet. Everybody know her as being lovable. You know, she's never had bad energy. She's always smiling. She's always happy. She's never sad. She gives hugs when she greets you. That's the type of person she is.
And so, as her friend of 7 years, I mean, what does it mean to you to know that she's missing? I mean, do you think she's missing?
I know she's missing because she would not go this long without reaching out to nobody, especially her son. She's a great mother. She loves her son. And to go this long without speaking to her son, her family, or her friends, this is not like her. And we know she's missing because she would have been home. She works, she's active in everyone's life.
Where does she, and I know you said so she has a job in the Charlotte area. She hasn't shown up there either?
No.
Okay, and that's not common either.
No, that's not.
Okay. I guess, what is your plea to the people watching this? If they see anything, how important is this to you, you know, for the people that know her, that she comes home safe?
This is very important to us because we just want her home, bring her home to her son. You know, she's a great mom, and he don't deserve to grow up without a mom. We don't deserve to lose our friend or can't find our friend. This is very important. So anybody out there watching, anything, any small detail, any car you see, anybody you think that's her, just please reach out to the family, call 911, her friends, anybody, because we really trying to bring her home. We need to bring her home as soon as possible.
I didn't ask her brother, but like, is her parents, do you know the parents well?
Yes.
Okay, what is going on with them?
They're hurting, like any other parent. They're hurting. They didn't see their child in 5 days, and that's not like them. And she see her parents every day. She talked to her mom and dad every day. Her and her mom is still together. They are married. They are great parents, and that she has a great relationship with her parents, and they're hurting. They're hurting. Anybody would hurt when they didn't speak to their child in 5 days. And we just, right now, all we could do is be on the lookout and search, and any information will help so we can help bring their daughter home.
And you all, I know he mentioned it, but are you guys like strategically going to like certain places? Like,
yeah, I think we're doing more than the police actually, because 5 days straight, we're going everywhere around the city. We have other people in the city as well searching. We're searching.
So is it like a team of you all?
Yes.
Okay, a team searching. And day and night, is that fair to say?
Day and night, all night. Up early in the morning before the sun come up. We go in in the morning, AM hours. We're searching, 24 hours, searching. If we're not searching, someone else is searching.
Are you all limiting it to just Charlotte, or how are you all?
No, we're limiting it everywhere. We just rode to South Carolina yesterday, 2 hours away. So we're everywhere. Charlotte is just not off limits. We're going to Gastonia, everywhere. Anywhere we could go. Any tip that we get, we're going to look at that tip.
Are you all getting any tips?
We are.
From just random people?
Social media, we're getting tips from people that have seen them. We're getting a lot of information, new information that we're getting from people off of social media that have seen them and spotted them that same day that she went missing.
Okay, but from your knowledge, no one has spotted her since Thursday.
No one has spotted. They spotted him, but they didn't spot her.
And we'll be right back with a check of your weather. Chris Mulcahy in the Live Impact studio in 2 minutes. You're watching Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. At 9:14, you're watching Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. The man, the legend, the man in sky blue. Woo! Looking good.
Yeah, people have been saying, I was like, all right, UNC. And I was like, oh, I didn't even realize
is that what we're doing?
Mr. Blue.
Yeah, Mr. Blue, that's what they call me. I'm blue, da boo dee da boo die. It almost matches the Carolina blue sky that we have, and it almost matches.
Finally, the sun is out.
So the blue. I know, it looks really nice outside here in Charlotte. Over on the opposite side, it is gray, cloudy, and you even see some flurries. Actually, what we're looking at right now here, this is over in Banner Elk. A lot of the snowflakes that you're seeing are actually the winds blowing snow off of roofs. So we're seeing a lot of that, some lingering flurries right now. But our temperatures are definitely on the cooler side right now and will continue to be so over the course of the next 24 hours. Compared to yesterday, we hit a high of 57, but we have a lot of improvements. But factoring in the wind chills, 33 degrees. We are 41 in Charlotte, but it feels like 33, and it feels like 14 degrees around the Boone area. But I'm happy to say the winds are going to lighten up. All right, did anyone encounter a wind moment yesterday? It was breezy.
Yes, man.
Yep. Right when I walked out of this building, it went.
Yeah, the sun was out. I forgot. Oh, yeah. And I remember you saying yesterday morning, if there's any takeaway, it's a windy Wednesday.
Good.
Got it.
Yeah, because that's one thing. We have the one things we say on WCNC Charlotte, like on our TV station, but it was going to be so noticeable that it was going to affect your day. I went into the vet office, I had to pick up meds for Mr. Romeo, and the door, literally, I thought I closed it, just whoosh, was taken by the wind. But I'm happy to say those winds are getting a lot lighter. So once you get to about the early afternoon, you might have a stray gust, but you're not seeing constant gusts at 30 plus. So occasionally wind chilly, but for the most part, it's a nice improvement. As far as our mountain territories, we have a little bit of flurry action mainly happening around Avery County. I think you could see flurries maybe for an additional hour or so, maybe a straight pocket up until noon, but that winter weather advisory officially stops in the next hour, and we already have the kids that are actively in school at home. All three counties, Avery, Watauga, and Ashe, have gone remote for today, mainly because of that blowing snow, and it did get slick enough. Here at App Ski Mountain, I was seeing some active snowboarders. You see one right there. Having a good time. Let's see. Anyone else out?
Bright and early.
Yeah, get the Get up to the slope, have it to yourself for a little bit.
Yeah, and I understand why a lot of people don't want to be there right now, but it's going to get a little bit better. My favorite, do you have any ski or snowboarders in this room?
Used to
I
snowboard.
can water ski and wakeboard.
Oh, that's harder.
You think so?
I think so,
Yeah, it's
100%.
hard.
Yeah.
I
'Cause
tried
water,
snow
it's like-
skiing once and I ate it down the mountain.
Okay.
You gotta. I snowboard.
Okay, see, this is the thing. People that don't like skiing, I guarantee you're gonna like snowboarding because I was a terrible skier, but I was a decent snowboarder.
Okay.
Yeah. So
could try it.
try it again. Now, Jane will back me up on this. When you snowboard for the first time, you find muscles that you didn't know could hurt.
Yes, totally.
Yeah, like I was just like, how many back muscles do I have?
Yeah.
And especially the gluteus maximus.
And tushy. You're
glute-
gonna
the
fall on it
glutes,
quite a bit. Yeah.
My quads just
yeah.
leafing
Yeah.
down, and
Obliques.
it was all.
You're
for
all
me.
really selling snowboarding right now.
Oh, yeah, no, this is a bad idea.
You're like, you're gonna hurt like you've never hurt.
Yes.
before.
It's a good
But I'd
hurt.
like to try it.
Yeah, no, you would like it, Carla.
I love how you said the leaf because that's how I pretty much
Yeah.
would go like that, and then eventually try to shred.
yeah. Oh yeah, good shredder.
I actually got a black eye of snowboarding because I was listening to Crazy Train, and I was like, do you know
You were
what? I'm gonna go off
fierce.
this jump, and I thought it was small. Next thing I know, I'm 20 feet in the air and pretty much landed on my
Yeah.
face. So again, not selling snowboarding. Let's move on because everyone's like, well, I was gonna go this weekend. Well, Beach Mountain is a different story. I've been seeing the chairlifts actively going, but we almost have whiteout conditions up here, so they're still seeing those gusts over 40 miles per hour. It will take longer for us to improve up in the high country, but the big improvement I've seen for the roads is really around Boone. They've done a great job clearing out the sidewalks. Didn't see a lot of snow. It was the lower end of the 1 to 3 inches that we were calling for, so they saw about an inch. Mountaintop saw a little bit more, but here's the beauty.
oh, nice. Look at that.
4 reasons why today is going to be great because of sunshine. And I was mentioning the winds to start off this weather forecast. That sunshine is going to be beneficial today. We did have sunshine on and off yesterday, but the winds really took away from the day because yesterday was actually at 57 degrees. It was warm, but it was so cold because of the winds, and on and off winds are going to make it chillier today, but that sunshine is going to be the big benefactor, which, by the way, today is December 11th. Sometimes I like to look up national days for you. It's also National Have a Bagel Day.
Love a bagel.
Me too.
Anyone bringing
Love a
bagels?
bagel.
With a nice schmear.
Oh,
yeah.
good schmear.
I love an onion chive. That's my jam.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
I
yeah.
like
Egg
that.
everything bagel.
Ooh,
Oh, that's a good
alright.
one.
Have you
That's
had
nice
the egg
old
bagels?
school. Yes, yes.
Oh, yeah. People aren't familiar with the egg bagels, and I'm
Huh,
like, you need to.
that's like-
you gotta turn on the.
I don't know what makes
That's
it better,
kind of old school.
but it's better than just like a regular bagel. I totally agree.
Yeah, I like an everything bagel
Yes.
with the plain schmear. So I
Plain
get I get the flavor.
Okay, that
and
makes
then,
sense.
And then balance with some, palate cleansing.
I love the everything bagel as long as I'm in a place that I don't need to be tidy. Because
Oh, yeah,
that-
yeah, yeah,
I ate it
yeah,
in the
it's-
car one time and I
You
found
need a
poppy seeds for a
flosser.
year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the good thing is you can actually live it out today. It's also National Stretching Day, so
I
stretch
need to
after
do that.
And then International Mountain
and
Day.
then go snowboarding.
Yeah, there you go. See, perfect. I know. Put a bagel in your pocket. Yeah, International Mountain Day. So I was curious what this one was. It was really just to bring awareness to the mountains. I think one of the coolest facts that I saw is about 22% of Earth's land is actually mountainous, and that does include, I think, the foothills and things like that. But yeah, so about 22% of that, and about 1 billion people live near the mountains on planet Earth. So now we are aware on this International
Fun
Mountain
fact.
Day. I learned that, so I'm going to pass on the knowledge. High temperatures today. It's not going to be great. We mainly have the mid to the upper 40s. It's a little adjustment. It went down to 46. I have a high of 49. I think we're going to get back there no problem. I don't know why my... that's why. It says so far. Okay, there we go. Sorry, wrong graphic. Yeah, we're going to have highs right around 50 degrees. I was like, what's going on here? And we're going to be dry today and really over the next few days, but an isolated rain chance is going to be possible on Sunday. Our futurecast is showing that any clouds that we have are far distant away from the Charlotte area. It's only up in the mountains along the Tennessee border. By the afternoon, we start to clear things out. You might still have partly cloudy status here and there, but it gets much brighter. It gets better. It's less windy for you. Still, you're the windier part, but we will see more clouds roll back in later on this evening. And there is another chance for snow. I think this is another dusting of snow that's happening in the mountains. Slightest chance that as far south as Rowan and Iredell County, you could have a quick flurry around midnight into the early morning morning hours. That's not going to affect anything. Just letting you know, if you're up late, you might see it briefly in the moonlight or maybe in the street light at that point. And then we'll mix some clouds through your Friday. Saturday looks to be completely sunny, and then Sunday is the day of change. So we have this front down towards the south. Luckily, it's of the dry variety, or else it could bring some big rain and even some snow. But it's this big H, Happy the High, that's going to roll in. That's an Arctic high pressure system that's going to sink in some really cold air. So here's how it goes down. Saturday is the pick of the week, pick of the weekend. If you are undecided what day you want to do something, it is Saturday, hands down. Because that 48 degree point that I have there, that is happening in the morning. So our morning is where we have the warmest part of our Sunday, and our winds are going to pick up, and I'm going to show you how it's going to feel through the course of your Sunday. All right, you all ready for this?
Yep.
Okay. Dun, 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 dun. So 38 degrees is our cold. Wait, that wasn't the right graphic. What just happened?
It's okay.
Where are we going? Where is it?
We're
Oh, there it
going?
is. Okay.
Okay.
Wrong graphic. Here we go. All right. So this is how it's going to feel for your Sunday. Man, I even have the song and everything. Okay, so this is 11 a.m. on Sunday. It is feeling like 34 and -4 in Boone. And now note, we were talking about starting off in the 40s. So that's the winds really taking over. We go forward. Feeling like 21 degrees come 4 p.m. At this point, likely our temperatures are down in the 30s. This is the power of that cold air that's filtering out of the north, and feeling more like 13 below zero around the Boone area. And then by the evening hours, we're talking about anywhere from 10 to 14 to 15 below zero for the mountains, and the single digits to the pre-teens around Charlotte. Now, the good news is winds start to lighten up, and actually some warmer air jets back in, so the start of your Monday morning, it's not atrocious, but this potentially could be not just the coldest day of the season, but of the year. So far in 2025, we have only dropped down to 18 degrees at Charlotte Douglas International Airport. We hit 19 twice, so this will regardless be the fourth time that we drop down into the teens. But 16 degrees, that smashes it. And that other graphic that I showed you too early, 38 was the low this morning. We've hit 28 twice this season, so we're going to beat that by over 10 degrees. So astronomically cool. But the good news is this isn't going to last long. Luckily, we're going to have the sunshine warming us up thereafter. Winds start to lighten up, and then we're back to 48 on Tuesday with another sunny day. And then Wednesday, we have highs in the upper 50s to around 60 degrees. Good chance for rain Wednesday night into Thursday, but still sticking to the lower 60s. And then we have 60 and then 54 as we head into the Saturday before Christmas. And I was mentioning this yesterday that our long range models are trending that it is going to be an above average Christmas. Our 8 to 14 day outlook, a majority of the United States besides the northern central part of the U.S. and northern New England are trending to be above normal. Now, our normal heading into the Christmas holiday is 53 for a high and 33 for a low. This is a solid jet, I would say, about at least a 50% shot that we have above average temperatures. So that means at least the upper 50s, but I would not be surprised if we're around 60 degrees for Christmas. Now, things could still change, but definitely looking like much warmer temperatures than what we've been dealing with recently and what we're going to have on Monday.
Oh my gosh, that is bone chilling. Wait, would you say 16?
Yeah, we'll
for
go
Monday?
back to that guy. Yeah, 16 degrees.
No, I don't have it. I don't have it.
Well, and see, the thing is, like, we hit 28, and I've noticed that recently I was like, okay, we're getting used to it. We can kind of do that. But that's a big difference.
Yeah.
We haven't had that. Once you get used to multiple these days, and I was like, okay, that's nothing, because you kind of change your perspective. Yeah, that one's going to be rough. So what I've been telling people is if you have any plans on Sunday, the earlier the better, just because it just gets colder. Usually you have about 4 o'clock's our high temperature, 3, 4 this time of year. No, at that point it could be up to 10 to 15 degrees, at least how we feel colder compared to sunrise. So keep that in mind.
All right, and then doing the whole drip thing. With your faucet.
Definitely a drip.
Gotta
yeah.
do that.
At what point do you drip?
Okay, actually,
Like, what degree do you drip?
well, let me bring this up. I think
Right.
you
is
were
it below freezing?
you were off actually when I brought this up, so this is a great opportunity.
For a
okay.
weather
I
IQ.
was enjoying 80-degree weather. Now
No,
I
you-
gotta-
Yeah,
now
right?
gotta
I
get
know.
re-educated.
You were in the land that you do not need to drip.
No.
And if you do, and if they
Every
do need,
once in a while.
and if they do need to drip, iguanas are falling from the trees.
Yes, right.
If you guess Florida, yes, that is where
Yeah,
Caroline
look
just
for
came
the
back from.
falling iguanas.
Okay, so the general rule
Okay.
that we have is when temperatures are 28 degrees or colder for 4 hours or more. And it's primarily like I have a house that was built in 1987. We have a more exposed crawl space. The newer built homes, this doesn't apply to as much. They're usually built a little bit better insulation, but especially older homes. But regardless, if you're talking about multiple hours below 20 degrees, insulated pipes even can freeze in a 6-hour period. So the reason why you get the drip going and multiple faucets are advised upstairs and downstairs is because it creates a little bit of movement. Stagnant water freezes. Think about the ocean. It's constantly moving, and also the salt is a big deal there. But the more the water's moving, it breaks up the crystallization process. Also, when frost forms, it needs to be a still or a calm wind because it's a very delicate process to connect all the bonds for ice. So that's when, in general, 28 degrees and colder for 4 hours or more, that's when you need to drip. But we are in the range, especially heading into Monday morning, that you absolutely need to do it regardless of the house you have. But it's only about 5 drips per minute. I spend way too much time trying to finesse it perfectly, but you don't need that constant like drip every second where you think you're wasting water. It doesn't need much, especially if you do multiple faucets. Just takes a little bit of finesse and getting used to.
Okay. Good to know.
Yep.
That's
So-
for Monday.
Yep. You do not need to drip until a Sunday night. So I would actually suggest as soon as you're done with dinner on Sunday, start dripping.
Start dripping after you're doing the dishes, and then drip and follow. Just keep it going. All right. So enjoy this weekend,
Yes.
today
Yeah.
and Saturday.
Yeah, and it's cooler than yesterday, but when you have sunshine, it makes it 10 degrees warmer. But yeah, Saturday is my pick of the week, so that's the one don't miss out on.
All right.
Okay.
Chris Mulcahy, we're liking the jacket.
Thank you very much.
Liking
I
the
appreciate
combo.
it. What other
The
colors
blue.
can I do?
Well, Carlene, you said a maroon, a Cabernet.
I
Yeah,
like
a
maroon.
this
Like- oh,
color,
like, yeah,
a
like
wine
Carlene's
color.
top.
I love a hunter green. I love
green,
an
yeah.
unconventional suit color.
I'll see if
Right.
my
Plaid?
because I was mentioning
Plaid?
my suit for my wedding was that hunter green color. I'll see if it doesn't key out at the green screen, or else you might see that
Okay,
same. Yeah,
that's
yeah.
true.
You have a
My favorite
career
color is green. I
issue
can't
with
wear it
that.
at work.
All right, we will see Chris a little bit later
Bye.
here on Live Impact News. And we'll be right back on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Time is 9:31 on Live Impact News. Major development right now out of Washington, where last night the U.S. seized another boat off the coast of Venezuela, seizing an oil tanker. And this seems to have escalated matters between the two countries. The very latest with Alice Barr from NBC News in Washington.
This morning, tensions with Venezuela sharply escalating, with the Venezuelan government accusing the U.S. of, quote, a blatant theft and an act of international piracy over this moment when elite Coast Guard forces, according to 2 U.S. officials, rappel out of helicopters onto a massive oil tanker off Venezuela, executing what Attorney General Pam Bondi called a seizure warrant.
We've just seized a tanker on the coast of Venezuela, a large tanker, very large.
The Attorney General saying the tanker was transporting sanctioned oil from Venezuela and Iran, part of a, quote, illicit oil shipping network supporting foreign terrorist organizations.
It was seized for a very good reason.
It's unclear where the oil on board was headed or what happens to it next.
Well, we keep it, I guess.
The Venezuelan government now claiming President Trump's ramped-up pressure campaign against authoritarian leader Nicolas Maduro is about the country's rich oil reserves instead of drug trafficking. The Trump administration has been striking alleged drug boats off the Venezuelan coast and threatening to move on land, accusing Maduro of being tied to a drug trade that steals American lives, and putting out a $50 million reward for information leading to his capture. Maduro denies the allegations, and while he says his country is ready to fight, at a Wednesday rally he addressed Americans who don't want war.
Don't worry, be happy.
All as President Trump suggested Colombia may be next in his fight against the drug trade. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
Just after 9:30 right now on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus, happening across our live feeds, take you out to Washington, where the Senate Armed Services Committee is holding a hearing right now, examining the administration's deployment of the National Guard across the country in several cities. This is just getting underway. We're hearing from the chair. Let's go ahead and listen in on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus.
And we are in need of well-supported and effective law enforcement. This situation was made all the worse during the Biden administration. We saw widespread efforts by Democrats to defund the police. These moves constricted law enforcement effectiveness across the nation. For one example, consider Seattle in 2020. Hundreds of violent protesters took over several downtown blocks. They declared it a police-free zone and demanded that the police budget be cut in half. And apparently it did become a police-free zone. In the absence of all police presence, violence, open drug usage, and shootings escalated. All the while, the city's elected officials did little to stop the chaos. This is but one example of what happens without sufficient law and order. Now, I would be remiss at this time if I did not recognize that in trying to restore that law and order, there are costs. In particular, I'm reminded of the 2 West Virginia National Guard members who were shot in this city just before the Thanksgiving holiday. Today, we remember Army Specialist Sarah Beckstrom, who lost her life, and we grieve with her loved ones. Air Force Staff Sergeant Andrew Wolf remains hospitalized, but is showing signs of progress, and we likewise pray for his swift recovery. The public sees these examples of crime in their communities, and they expect more from their government. They demand and deserve action. For this reason, President Trump ordered an immediate and coordinated response by deploying the National Guard to some of our nation's most dangerous cities. These strategic deployments are not only appropriate but essential. Current crime rates in our largest cities have become a substantial burden on local and federal law enforcement agencies. Increasingly, these agencies are unable to keep our communities safe. They are underfunded and stretched thin, unable to reinstitute law and order on their own. The Guard is uniquely suited to assist with the fight against crime. It can provide manpower, resources, and specialized expertise that local police departments may lack. Additionally, National Guard units are trained for rapid deployment. They're versatile, able to handle large-scale public safety operations and provide immediate relief to communities in need. In fact, the National Guard has a strong history of assisting in domestic law enforcement during times of national crisis. Their expertise in crowd control, search and rescue operations, and logistical support makes them well suited for urban environments struggling with crime-related violence. Not surprisingly, Democratic governors and left-wing pundits have decried these deployments. They've raised concerns about violations of the Posse Comitatus Act, which prohibits the use of military for domestic policing, except in specific circumstances. Others have said these deployments waste money and reduce troop readiness. These concerns are both manufactured and misguided, in my judgment. Mobilizing the Guard is an excellent opportunity for units to enhance cohesion, complete mission essential tasks, and ensure training is complete. Moreover, Guardsmen operate with the highest degree of professionalism. They serve purely in support roles, never crossing the line into law enforcement functions. They are limited to protecting federal employees and federal buildings, providing logistics and communications to law enforcement operations, and most importantly, to providing a visible security presence, which supports law enforcement and deters crime. Furthermore, all National Guardsmen serving in our cities operate under the standing rules of the use of force. These rules prohibit the use of force except in instances of self-defense. All Guardsmen receive extensive training on these rules. I'm confident in their ability to operate within them. I'm proud of the Guardsmen serving in our nation's capital and in cities throughout America. I thank them for their service and sacrifice and for their commitment to restoring law and order. Every day they help Americans feel safe in their communities. With that, I turn to my colleague, Senator Duckworth. And Senator Duckworth, I hope your voice is in better shape than mine this morning.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and also thank you to Ranking Member Reed, again, Chairman Wicker and Leader Thune for working with me to hold this meeting. I first want to acknowledge the horrific shooting in D.C., as the Chairman has already acknowledged, resulting in the tragic death of Specialist Sarah Beckstrom and injury of Staff Sergeant Andrew Wolf. These heroes served with honor and showed up to do the mission despite the risks, as our service members always do. It is a tragedy that never should have happened in the first place. That is exactly why I led my colleagues to push for this hearing. Military service involves risks, and our service members accept those risks knowingly, selflessly. So we better be damn sure that the mission is the right one. That it is a clear and effective mission, that it serves our national security. If we stand by while this administration pursues another irresponsible, open-ended campaign with no defined mission, no clear authorities, no set timeline, and no transparent end state, we fail our troops. We fail their families, and we fail the American people. Today, we must shine a light on the cost of these domestic deployments to the American people and to those who wear the uniform of this great nation. I look forward to getting answers about where this administration's crusade of misusing the military in American cities is going, and hearing how anyone can justify the damage it is doing to our service members, to civil rights, our public trust in the military, and our service members' ability to execute their critical war-fighting missions. Look, one of the proudest moments in my life was when the first time I ever raised my hand to swear my oath to the Constitution as a member of the Illinois Army National Guard. I cherished every day, every single day that I got to call myself a soldier. And it's because I love our military so deeply that I refuse to let anyone, including the president, abuse it for their own gain. Right now, thousands of troops are deployed across the country under false pretenses. Here in D.C., the National Guard has been performing missions that don't help with their military training, like spreading mulch and picking up trash, but that, as we have sadly seen, nonetheless carry risk for our service members. Let me be clear, safety in our community is paramount, but these deployments do not make our streets safer, they do not keep our families more secure. In fact, it is just the opposite. Instead, President Trump has taken our troops away from their core mission just to do his personal bidding, forcing them to patrol tourist areas in D.C. or invade a city where residents are peacefully protesting his inhumane policies. We know Trump's actions are not about so-called law and order. If he cared about law and order, he wouldn't have quite literally defunded our police by freezing and slashing federal dollars that help to hire, train, and equip law enforcement. If this administration cared about law and order, it would not be ignoring the growing number of judges, including those appointed by Trump himself, who've deemed these deployments illegal. In Illinois, a judge from the Northern District found that DHS's account of the situation on the ground, and I quote, was simply unreliable, end quote. The U.S. Court of Appeals for the Seventh Circuit, in a 3-judge panel that featured 2 Republican-appointed judges, including a Trump appointee, upheld this view that, and I quote, the facts do not justify the president's action, end quote. These judges went further, explaining that political opposition is not rebellion, and reaffirming that First Amendment activity in Illinois is not the sort of threat that would justify a military deployment. Similarly, another Trump-appointed federal judge, this time in Oregon, wrote that the administration had no credible evidence that the protests had gotten out of control and that the president's basis for deploying the Guard was untethered to the facts. Our troops deserve to know why they are being asked to do such legally unprecedented and deeply unpopular things on American soil. And make no mistake, this is deeply unpopular. Most Americans don't want this. Poll after poll has found that a majority of Americans oppose deploying troops for missions that should be handled by law enforcement. This all raises a core question for our hearing today. Why is this administration so focused on turning our military against Americans here at home? Our military's #1 priority must be readiness. We face real growing threats from China, Russia, Iran, and more bad actors on a global stage. The Department of Defense needs to be laser focused on preparing our troops to defend America's interests abroad, not performing tasks that are meant to be done by civilian law enforcement here at home. No one else can do the critical work of keeping our families safe from these actual threats, and our troops are already stretched thin for time and resources. Yet these deployments are burning priceless readiness, morale, and resources on open-ended, unjustified missions. So far, this administration is estimated to have spent over $341.3 million on the deployments to Illinois, LA, Oregon, DC, and Memphis alone, not including the cost of thousands of troops along the border. But these costs are tabulated in more than taxpayer dollars and cannot be overstated, nor can the risk that comes with politicizing our troops for one man's gain. So let me close with this. Enabling the president, any president, to send military troops into American cities under transparently flimsy pretexts to meet his whims will have a dangerous and profoundly damaging impact on our nation's military. Our heroes did not sign up for this. They signed up to defend Americans' rights to free speech, not to intimidate Americans from exercising that right. They were willing to die to defend this country, not to defend one man's partisan agenda. We cannot stay silent as our troops' willingness to sacrifice is abused, or as President Trump erodes the hard-won trust our military has earned from the American public. Because while our armed forces have a sacred role in our country, public trust can be easily lost when the commander-in-chief uses them so recklessly, especially when that commander-in-chief has already gone so far as to suggest that the military uses American cities as, and I quote, training grounds for, again, I quote the president, the war within. Look, these days, I may no longer be wearing my Army uniform, but it is still hanging up in my closet. But as a senator and as a member of this committee, my core mission remains the same as when I was in the National Guard, to keep America as strong and as safe as she should be. The power to deploy our troops domestically must remain exceptional, accountable, and rooted in law, not in one man's judgment about what constitutes disorder. That's why I'm here today. That's why I'm so outraged. That is why I am so determined to make sure that, for the sake of our troops, we get some answers today. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator.
You've been watching live now the beginning hearing of the Senate Armed Services on National Guard deployment and troops being deployed to many areas of the country. And we'll be right back on Live Impact News on WCNC+. All right, if you have just woken up and did not learn last night, ex-Michigan head football coach Sharon Moore was arrested last night after the university athletic director said due to irrefutable evidence and in an appropriate relationship, there was cause to fire him. And so he was also placed in jail because of some other related allegations and also being watched over by mental health professionals as well. So we're learning this late last night and then into today, a story that we will be following. And this is from NBC News website. And former football coach, again, another fall from grace for the University of Michigan, unfortunately. But we do know our Charlotte connection, former UNC Charlotte coach Biff Poggi is now the interim head coach as they get ready for the Citrus Bowl later on at the end of this year, New Year's Eve. But yeah, it's one of those stories, has a lot of layers, a lot of levels, and the fallout from that at the university is really one that a lot of people are watching. All right, we will get you back now to Washington, D.C. This is a hearing for the Senate Armed Services on the deployment of National Guard across the country. We continue to listen in on Live Impact News.
Responsibly, as we have throughout President Trump's time in office. Thank you for this opportunity. I look forward to answering the committee's questions.
Thank you, Mr. Ditlevson. Mr. Young, you're recognized for your opening statement.
Chairman Wicker, Ranking Member Reed, and distinguished members of this committee, good morning. Thank you for the opportunity to appear before you today on the important topic of National Guard mobilizations. The overarching concern in all of our National Guard deployments is to ensure that our communities remain safe places where our citizens can enjoy their constitutionally protected rights in peace, and where federal officers can perform their valid federal functions without fear of being physically harmed. When the Department of War receives a presidential mobilization order, Supreme Court precedents requires that we presume that he exercised his statutory and constitutional authorities as the Commander-in-Chief in a manner consistent with the law. These lawful orders, given in exigent circumstances, requires the Department of War to rapidly muster a response to prevent loss of life, of limb, and property in emergency situations. The Department issues carefully tailored guidance to commanders and mobilized National Guard personnel, focusing their mission on the protection of federal functions, personnel, and property. In doing so, the Department has operated well within the law established by longstanding Supreme Court precedent and longstanding Department of Justice legal opinions. The Department of War has also received, evaluated, and responded to numerous requests for assistance from the Department of Homeland Security and the Department of Justice under well-established statutory frameworks for assisting other federal agencies in performing their federal functions and in assisting state and local law enforcement authorities. The dedicated women of our National Guard have selflessly stepped forward to heed the call of duty and have served our nation with distinction. From all reports, they are well received by the citizens they serve and have comported themselves in an exemplary manner. As a result of their service, our communities are safer. Our federal law enforcement officers can more safely perform their legal functions, and obstructions to the proper execution of federal laws are being removed. I look forward to answering your questions.
Well, thank you very, very much. And now, General Guillot, you are welcome here and recognized for your opening statement.
Good morning. Thank you, Chairman Wicker, Ranking Member Reed, and the distinguished members of the committee. I thank you for the opportunity to appear today alongside Mr. Ditlevson and Mr. Young regarding the deployments of the National Guard in Title X status within the United States. I'd like to start by acknowledging the essential role of the Army and Air National Guard teammates play in defending the homeland every day. Right now, Guardsmen under the command and control of NORAD and U.S. Northcom are defending against ballistic missile threats, protecting national airspace, supporting federal law enforcement, and helping seal and repel illegal activity at the southern border. In fact, there isn't a single NORAD or U.S. NORTHCOM mission that doesn't rely on our National Guard teammates. I'll center my comments this morning on United States Northern Command's roles and responsibilities in commanding and controlling Title X forces conducting the Federal Protection Mission in support of federal law enforcement agencies. The direction of the President and the Secretary of War, Army National Guard personnel operating in Title X status are tasked with protecting federal functions, which includes property, entities, and federal personnel performing federal functions, including enforcement of federal law in California, Oregon, and Illinois. There are also currently 200 National Guard personnel in Title X status at Fort Bliss, Texas, who are available for this mission if necessary. The assigned forces in all 4 locations operate under the command and control of U.S. NORTHCOM while reporting to U.S. Army North. This provides a unified command structure that ensures disciplined execution of the assigned missions and clear accountability. Accountability and adherence to all applicable laws and policies are critical, and U.S. NORTHCOM will continue to comply with all laws, regulations, and applicable court orders. In adherence with federal court rulings, personnel in Oregon and Illinois remain federalized on Title X status, but are not executing the Federal Protection Operational Mission. Meanwhile, 100 service members in California in Title X status are executing the Federal Protection Mission in accordance with a stay issued by the Ninth Circuit as litigation continues to progress. NORTHCOM is in coordination with the department regarding the order issued yesterday by the District Court in California. From the outset, I've directed that every service member participating in federal protection missions be thoroughly trained on their authorities and limitations. It is essential that everyone involved in this mission understands precisely what they are authorized to do, but perhaps more importantly, what they are authorized not to do. To be clear, Title X forces are prohibited from conducting traditional law enforcement activities, including arrest, seizure, search, or evidence collection in connection with the enforcement of laws. Their mission is to take reasonable measures to protect the destruction or defacement of federal government property, including preventing civilians from attacking federal facilities, stopping ongoing interference with federal functions by civilians, or preventing civilians with a demonstrated intent to interfere with the federal functions from such interference. The mission also includes protecting federal personnel from harm or threat of death or bodily injury. As such, service members may temporarily restrain civilians, conduct cursory searches, or take other similar measures to ensure safety of the persons on the property. To date, only 1 civilian has been temporarily detained by military personnel. That occurred on June 13th when, despite verbal warnings, an individual crossed a clearly marked boundary surrounding the Wilshire Federal Building in Los Angeles. In accordance with applicable law and policies, that individual was only detained until they could be handed over to proper law enforcement personnel. Title X forces are present to protect federal property and federal personnel in the execution of their responsibility to enforce federal law, not to replace them. Local, state, and federal law enforcement remain fully responsible for public safety and policing, while the objectives of the military professionals performing this mission are safety and continuity of the federal functions, and if necessary, de-escalation, not confrontation. I met a young Marine in Los Angeles this summer, and when I asked him to describe his assigned mission, he told me that it was to ensure that the American citizens exercising their right to peaceful assembly and protest were able to do so safely. I think that sums up both the mission and the professionalism of the service members assigned to this mission very well. The Federal Protection Mission is an example of the Department's unique capability to support partners during extraordinary circumstances. NORAD and U.S. NORTHCOM are proud of the command's ability to rapidly deploy trained, disciplined forces when and wherever they're needed, and the well-trained, professional, and ready National Guard is crucial to that effort. Again, I would like to thank the committee for the opportunity to speak today, and I look forward to your questions.
Thank you very much, General, and I think I'll start with you. Specifically, why bring the Guard in? What does it offer that law enforcement and other federal agencies cannot do?
First and foremost, Chairman, they are extremely disciplined, and they can very quickly be trained to conduct any mission that we task of them. When they come in, we train them on what they're authorized to do, which is rooted in the Mayday opinion and their 12406 authorities, and also the Secretary's directive action, which is to prevent destruction and defacement of the federal facilities and to protect the execution of federal functions. They can do that because they're disciplined, they're well-trained, and they very well understand the limits of their authorities.
Well, what are the benefits to the Guard? My first question was the benefits to the community and what they could bring, but what about the individuals that are being deployed? Or do they benefit from this also?
Yes, sir, they do. We work very closely with the tags from each state to ensure that the training they receive not only benefits them in their federal function that they're performing for us, but also in their state role. So in the conduct of the mission, they get not only training on the standing for the rules of use of force, and also the civil disturbance operations that they could potentially execute, but they get small unit training, they get all of their medical training complete, they get all of their weapons qualifications and many other small unit tactics that benefit them in both statuses. Also, at this time, the majority of those serving in this role are volunteers, so it helps them in their pursuit of a career. And then it also allows us to trade out people who are assigned but maybe have school or other functions to ensure that the people that are serving not only are very good at their job, but they want to be there, and they're there on voluntary status.
Mr. Young.
All right. Very interesting conversation there happening right now on the deployment of National Guard services. The testimony will continue throughout the day in Washington, D.C. We're going to take a break here, top of the hour, 10 o'clock on Live Impact News on WCNC+. Back here now at 10:02 on Live Impact News on WCNC+. I'm Jane Monreal. Busy morning in Washington, D.C. We take you from the Armed Services hearing now to the House Homeland Security hearing. This is their annual hearing on what they are titling Worldwide Threats to the Homeland. We saw there earlier from a different angle, Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem. She is there getting ready to take her seat. Okay, is that her, the far right? Is this getting underway, Carlene? It looks like some housekeeping rules right now, but all right, so let's go ahead and listen in on Live Impact News.
Under the rules of the House, the chairman is responsible for maintaining order and preserving decorum in the committee room. I expect audience members to be respectful of witnesses, members, and the public. The issues we are debating are important ones that members feel deeply about. While vigorous disagreement is part of the legislative process, members are reminded that we must adhere to established standards of decorum in debate. It is a violation of House rules and the rules of this committee to engage in personalities regarding other members or to question the motives of a colleague. It is also a clear violation of the rules of the House to make statements that might be personally offensive to the President or the Vice President of the United States. Remarks of that type are not permitted by the rules and are not in keeping with the best traditions of our committee. The Chair will enforce these rules of decorum at all times and urge all members to be mindful of their remarks. I now recognize myself for an opening statement. Good morning. Welcome to the Committee on Homeland Security's annual hearing on worldwide threats. Our witnesses today are Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem, National Counterterrorism Center Director Joe Kent, and Federal Bureau of Investigation Operations Director Michael Glasheen. I appreciate your willingness to testify and address the threats America faces every day at home and abroad. I want to recognize that this is an annual hearing on the one the committee expects to hold in September 2026, surrounding the 25th anniversary of September 11th terrorist attacks. This year, we made numerous accommodations considering the record-long Democrat shutdown and your busy schedules. But we expect 2026 to include the Homeland Security Secretary, the NCTC Director, and as in the past, the Director of the FBI. The Department of Homeland Security and this committee were created following the attacks on September 11th and bestowed with the responsibility to secure the homeland from threats and keep Americans safe. The work your agencies do each day furthers that mission, and this committee will always be a strong partner in those efforts. I want to commend all three of you. The border is secure, the flow of drugs is slowing, and violent criminals are being taken off the streets. America is once again a symbol of global strength. However, I'm sure you'll agree it is not time to take a break. It is time for action. We cannot succeed in our collective Homeland Security mission without working together, collaborating, and striving for better. The threats we face are persistent and ever-changing. The days of strictly kinetic strikes are over. The battlefield is not the same as it was on the Western Front in 1914, nor Pacific Theater in 1941, and not even the Middle East in 2000s. In 2025, we fight our adversaries in cyberspace, we counter radicalization on the internet and in chat rooms, we resist communist China propaganda, we prepare for newfound biological threats, and we combat the flow of transnational criminals across our borders. This is why this hearing is so important. Congress must hear from the executive. Oversight is not unfair, and asking questions is not unwarranted. We must ensure the people's representatives are informed. In less than 1 year, the Trump administration has delivered historic results in securing our borders and dismantling transnational criminal networks. The commitment to restoring and maintaining a state of law and order has resulted in illegal border crossings falling to their lowest level in decades. Compared to last year, nationwide border encounters have plummeted nearly 80%. This is a testament to the administration's enforcement of law and deterrence of further and uncontrolled illegal immigration. More and more, both nation-state and rogue actors are turning to cyberspace to conduct nefarious operations against the United States and its interests. Just a few weeks ago, we saw the first mainly autonomous artificial intelligence conducted cyber attack. The AI threat is no longer something out of a faraway science fiction movie. Technology improves every day, and so does our adversaries' understanding of how to use it. We must be prepared. We must work together with our state and local partners, as well as the private sector, to share information to better identify and mitigate attacks. We must remain vigilant in the face of threats posed by Russia, China, and Iran. And we must harden critical infrastructure. The United States is entering an unprecedented period of hosting major international events, including 2026 FIFA World Cup, the 2028 Olympic and Paralympic Games in Los Angeles, and nationwide celebrations marking the nation's 250th anniversary. These mass gatherings will test the nation's ability to secure large crowds, safeguard foreign delegations, and maintain operational continuity amid evolving threats from nation-state adversaries, foreign terrorist groups, transnational criminal organizations, and lone actors. Trump administration is employing a whole-of-government approach to ensure these events are safe and secure. However, host cities and law enforcement shouldn't shoulder significant burdens in planning and resourcing. Persistent challenges include coordination shortfalls, intelligence sharing gaps, and jurisdictional limitations, particularly at ancillary venues such as athlete housing, training facilities, hotels, and fan zones. All of this is on the backdrop of the upcoming 25th anniversary of the horrific terrorist attacks of September 11th that took the lives of thousands across New York, D.C., and Pennsylvania. It is why I sought this chairmanship and what guides me every day in this work. We all share the same goal: keep Americans safe, regardless of the threat. I look forward to the witnesses' testimony today, and I hope we can work together to ensure we achieve this common goal. I now recognize the ranking member, the gentleman from Mississippi, Mr. Thompson, for his opening statement.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. And before I start, let me welcome Mr. Van Epps to the committee. Mr. Chairman, thank you for getting the Secretary of Homeland Security and National Counterterrorism Center Director here today. Your predecessor couldn't seem to get that done, and I appreciate your commitment to holding this hearing. Each day, we've had more examples of Republicans abdicating their constitutional oversight responsibilities. Fortunately, unlike other chairs in this body, it appears that if you are serious about this committee work being done, and I compliment you for that. As I look at the witnesses table, though, I can't help but notice that FBI Director Kash Patel isn't here with Secretary Noem and Director Kent. I'd also say that we have just been provided Secretary Noem's testimony. I've been on the committee since its inception, and I've never had the rules violated where we couldn't get testimony so members of the committee could look at it until today. Today's hearing is supposed to be one of the most important exercises of this committee's oversight jurisdiction. Each year, we hear from the Secretary of Homeland Security, the Director of National Counterterrorism Center, and the Director of the Federal Bureau of Investigation, who is nowhere to be seen today. Maybe Director Patel is too busy spending taxpayers' dollars flying to his girlfriend's concert on the FBI's jet to answer questions from Congress. Maybe the FBI director isn't here because he's afraid of scrutiny from Democrats who want to know what the FBI is doing to keep America safe. Or maybe Director Patel knows that the Trump administration itself is a threat to Homeland Security and want to hide from public accountability. On the other hand, Director Kent is here, which is good because we have questions for him about NCTC's work, as well as his comments about the January 6th insurrectionists he called, and I quote, political prisoners, unquote, who deserve to be pardoned. Some of the people he defended, however, are back in jail for crimes like plotting to murder FBI agents and possession of child pornography. It's scary that these unserious people are in charge of keeping America safe from terrorism. But what's even scarier is that they work for an unserious and unhinged president who spends most of the days designing monuments to himself and finding new ways to hide the Epstein files. All of this puts America and its lives, people who live here, at risk every day. Now, Secretary Noem, everyone knows you love the spotlight. We've seen your commercials, but what you haven't provided to the committee, despite our many requests, are the questionable contracts that you've awarded to your friends to film you on the 2028 campaign trail. Unfortunately, this is nothing new. In their one big ugly bill, congressional Republicans gave you a blank check, Secretary Noem, and you have wasted no time spending it on yourself. Instead of deploying Homeland Security grants to protect churches and synagogues from terrorism, you handed your friends a $220 million contract so they could follow you around the country with a camera. Instead of fully funding the DHS agency that protects our hospitals, schools, and electrical systems from cyber attacks, you spent $200 million to buy yourself new private jets. And instead of paying your way like the rest of us, you're living rent-free in a taxpayer-owned property that is supposed to be reserved for military leaders. Every penny that you spend on yourself represents the blood, sweat, and tears of hard-working Americans who expect their tax dollars to be spent on Homeland Security, not promoting you and your interests. Apparently, you haven't noticed that regular people are suffering under President Trump's affordability crisis, or maybe you, like him, thinks it's a hoax and just don't care. Either way, such corrupt behavior hurts Homeland Security. But it's not just the corrupt behavior, Secretary Noem, that hurts Homeland Security. It's also your blatant disregard for the law. You cut programs and withheld congressionally appropriated money to prevent terrorist attacks and prepare for natural disaster. You eviscerated the Office of Civil Rights and Civil Liberties, which was supposed to keep DHS from violating Americans' constitutional rights. Within your own department, you illegally fired employees and retaliated against whistleblowers who reported wrongdoings at DHS. And during a shutdown, when frontline employees were working without a paycheck, your press shop never stopped using its social media accounts to push out racist and xenophobic posts. Throughout your tenure, you've diverted resources from critical Homeland Security agencies and programs to carry out an extreme immigration agenda. You illegally ordered people deported to El Salvador, despite a federal court order and Department of Justice counsel instructing you to not do so. You illegally ignored a federal court order and shipped people off to South Sudan without due process. You are illegally blocking members of Congress from conducting oversight of ICE detention facilities, even though federal law demands that we have access. In the process of carrying out this extreme agenda, at your direction, DHS has terrorized, beat.
You've been watching live, hearing that's about to get underway for the annual hearing on the state and the worldwide threats to the U.S. with Secretary Noem from Homeland Security. We'll get back to it. She is expected to testify here shortly. You're watching Live Impact News on WCNC+. Back here at 10:18 on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus, we are awaiting Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem to start her testimony on worldwide threats to the homeland. There's the annual report that's underway out of Washington, D.C. We continue to listen in now on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus.
Officials have appeared to only 3 hearings before this committee, just 3. You, Secretary Noem, have appeared before this committee just twice. That's fewer appearances than your predecessor, Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas, who Republicans lambasted for not coming before the committee more often. It's interesting how my colleagues on the other side are now. Secretary Noem, I'll give you one thing. You showed up today rather than throwing a civil servant under the bus like Director Patel did. But you have systematically dismantled the Department of Homeland Security, put your own interests above the department, and violated the law. You are making America less safe. So rather than sitting here and wasting your time and ours with more corruption, lies, and lawlessness, I call on you to resign. Do a real service to the country and just resign. That is, if President Trump doesn't fire you first. I yield back.
Gentleman yields back. Other members of the committee are reminded that opening statements may be submitted for the record. I'm pleased to have a highly distinguished panel of witnesses before us today. Pursuant to Committee Rule 8C, I ask that the witnesses please rise and raise their right hand. Do you solemnly swear that testimony you will give before the Committee on Homeland Security of the United States House of Representatives will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Thank you. Please be seated. Let the record reflect that the witnesses have all answered in the affirmative. I would like to now formally introduce our witnesses. First is Ms. Kristi Noem. She is the Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security. Secretary Noem previously served as Governor of South Dakota and was a member of this distinguished House. Second is Mr. Joe Kent. He currently serves as the Director of National Counters Center with Office of Director of National Intelligence. Mr. Kent served in the U.S. Army, completing 11 combat tours and a stint with the Central Intelligence Agency. Third is Mr. Michael Glasheen. He is Operations Director for the National Security Branch of the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Mr. Glasheen has served in national security for more than 2 decades, including as Director of FBI's Terrorist Screening Center and Assistant Director to the National Security Branch. Prior to joining the Bureau, Mr. Glasheen served in the U.S. Marine Corps. I thank all the witnesses for being here today. I now recognize Secretary Noem for 5 minutes to summarize her opening statement.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Ranking Member, for holding this hearing today and inviting me to be a part of it. I'm looking forward to discussing the worldwide threats that this country faces and the work that President Trump and his administration does each and every day to make America safe again. I'm very privileged and honored today to have my family with me. I'd like to introduce them to you.
Disruptions of congressional business is a violation of law, is a criminal offense under federal law. Audience members are advised to take their seats and maintain order. The chairman may now ask Capitol Police to remove and arrest the persons creating the disturbance.
Get ICE off our streets! Stop terrorizing our community! Get ICE off our streets! Stop terrorizing our community! Get ICE off our streets! Stop terrorizing our community!
Secretary may continue.
Chairman, I'll continue. Today with me, I have my husband, Brian, who's with me, and also 2 of my children. My oldest daughter, Cassidy, and her husband, Kyle, are sitting here in the front row. And then my middle child, Kennedy, and her husband, Tanner, and that was my grandbaby, Noah, that was crying a little bit during the ranking member's comments. I don't think she agreed with him. I don't have my son with me or 3 of my grandchildren, but I'm very blessed that I have a wonderful family who is here and loves this country and is grateful to the work that we get to do as a family each and every day. We also have the blessing of having some angel families with us as well. They are here in the audience, and I'm so grateful for them for being willing to come here and be strong. It's hard to lose someone that you dearly love to illegal criminal activity, to people who never should have been in our country to begin with, and to lose those loved ones to drug overdoses that get perpetuated by the terrorist organizations that filter them into our country that President Trump works so hard to stop. So I'm grateful that they're here and that they are telling their story. Under President Biden, he closed the office in the Department of Homeland Security that serviced these families. He closed it because he didn't want them to speak. He didn't want them to have support or services, and President Trump reopened the Voices office so that they can get services, so they can hear about the cases of the individuals who killed their family members, and they can get the kind of help that they need to get through the tragic grief that they've experienced. So I want to thank them for being here and continue to pray for them. I want to thank you for the opportunity to be in front of you today to discuss the wide range of threats that the Department of Homeland Security is working on to protect us from here at home and also around the world. Just 2 weeks ago, the day before Thanksgiving, a terrorist shot 2 of our National Guardsmen in Washington, D.C., killing Sarah Beckstrom dead, and Staff Sergeant Andrew Wolf is still fighting for his life. Fortunately, we've had some really good news about Andrew recently, and he had the opportunity to stand up and is a miracle, and we're so grateful for his family for being so strong. We continue to lift him up and pray he has a full recovery. The terrorist who shot them was an Afghan national who entered the United States under Operation Allies Welcome. The same week, we arrested another Afghan national who came in under the same program. He was planning to carry out a bombing in Fort Worth, Texas. And just last week, just miles away in Washington, D.C., we arrested another Afghan national who also came in under Operation Allies Welcome. That individual provided support to the Islamic State of Iraq and ISIS-K and weapons to his father, who was a commander of a militia group in Afghanistan. Those are only a handful of the challenges that we face and the threats that the Department of Homeland Security stands against every single day. Under President Trump's leadership, DHS is securing our borders, we're restoring the rule of law, and we're protecting the homeland. DHS is eradicating transnational organized crime and the stopping of deadly drugs from continuing to be funneled into our communities. We're ending illegal immigration, returning sanity back to our immigration system, and we're defending against cyber attacks against our critical infrastructure. We have sent a strong message to criminal illegal aliens that we will find you, we will arrest you, and we will deport you. Our message has resonated to over 1.5 million illegal aliens who have gone home on their own voluntarily. At the same time, we as a country are still dealing with the mistakes, the errors, and the willful disregard of the last administration. For 4 years, the Biden administration allowed millions of people to come into our country illegally. Millions more in our country were exploited and were brought in under parole programs without even basic vetting. As a result, we've seen terrorist attacks and heinous crimes committed against American children and families by criminal illegal aliens and violent perpetuators who should have never been allowed into this country in the first place. Transnational
We're going to take away a moment here from Secretary Noem's statement because we want to bring you some breaking news. According to the New York Times, a deal has been reached between NASCAR and Michael Jordan's 23XI race team, along with Front Row, ending a year-long legal saga. NASCAR and the two groups, and you can see there Jordan leaving the federal courthouse out of in the Uptown area. But they have reached a settlement that will extend the charter system at least several more years. This was a 14-month-long battle and 8 days in court that was on its way to really reshape the motorsports world in the country and how franchises or these charter settlements can be done. But this from Jordan accusing NASCAR of monopolistic practices. So exact terms of the settlement not known in detail yet, but we are working to learn more information. And as this is finalized, it seems that a deal again has been reached between Michael Jordan's 23XI race car team and NASCAR. Carlene, did I get that right? Carlene's our resident NASCAR. Yes, big deal on because other teams can.
I mean, just to see what the terms of the settlement are.
Right.
But this is a big deal.
All right. So a big story there, and as Charlotte is capital headquarters for NASCAR Nation.
America's home for racing.
We are following this story closely. So again, breaking news with NASCAR reaching a settlement with 2311, and more details to come on WCNC Charlotte. We're going to take a break right now on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. It is 10:30 on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Want to get you back out to the nation's capital in D.C., where the Homeland Security Council is meeting for their annual report on global threats to the country. And we just heard from Secretary Noem herself. Now let's move on to Mr. Joe Kent. You're watching Live Impact News on WCNC Plus.
Attack here just before Thanksgiving, killing one of our National Guard members and wounding another. That Afghan was brought into the country as a group of over 100,000 Afghans who were brought here during the disastrous withdrawal from Afghanistan. These individuals, despite what has been reported, were not vetted properly to come into the United States. The individual terrorist who committed the attack in D.C., he was vetted to serve as a soldier in Afghanistan. The Biden administration essentially used his tactical level vetting as a ruse to bring him here and to bring him into our communities, and we've seen the tragic results of that. Now, that Afghan, that attacker, that terrorist, is just one of 88,000. We've identified 2,000 of that group of 88,000 who have ties to terrorist organizations. We're working right now, hand in hand with DHS and with the FBI, to run down this 2,000, the Afghans who came here under Allies Welcome, who have ties to terrorist organizations, and additionally the other 16,000 individuals with ties to terrorist organizations that Biden let into our country. That is probably the top terrorist threat that we face right now, and that doesn't include the individuals who came here illegally through the open border. That number, alarmingly, remains unknown at this time. We're trying to figure out who those individuals are as well. Also, adding to this elevated threat, we have ISIS and Al-Qaeda that have found sanctuary in places like Afghanistan and Syria due to the transitional nature of those governments, and also, again, in Iraq and some of the hinterlands of Iraq. And these terrorists are able to communicate and spread their propaganda and a lot of their know-how thanks to the proliferation of encrypted apps and also due to just the internet writ large. The new terrorist tactic that we're seeing more and more is moving away from very deliberate cellular attacks that we can infiltrate easily while they communicate into an inspirational methodology where you have key members putting out media and putting out how-to guides to reach out and to touch individuals inside the United States. We recently disrupted one of those attacks just before Halloween, thanks to the work of the FBI with support from really the entire U.S. intelligence community and the Joint Terrorism Task Force model in Michigan. That plot touched multiple states and had ties to ISIS inside Iraq and Syria. Another issue that we are addressing right now, thanks to the decisive leadership of President Trump, is the scourge of fentanyl, gang, and cartel violence. Under President Trump's leadership, we've designated these cartels and gangs as terrorist organizations, and we've done that rightfully so. These individuals, these terrorists, have killed hundreds of thousands of Americans, as these angel families will tell you firsthand. What President Trump has done by designating them as terrorists has allowed us to turn the tools of the intelligence community against them and predominantly watch list them as terrorists to prevent them from ever coming into America in the first place. To date, we've added about 35,000 of these narco-terrorists to our terrorist watch list, and we've stopped just around 6,000 of these terrorists from ever entering our country, from setting foot inside of America so they can no longer kill Americans with impunity. These are just some of the issues that we're covering 24/7, 365 at the National Counterterrorism Center, and I look forward to discussing more with you all today. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Kent. And now recognize Director Glasheen for 5 minutes to summarize his opening statement.
Good morning, Chairman Garbarino, Ranking Member Thompson, and members of the committee. I'm Operations Director Michael Glasheen. I oversee the FBI's National Security Divisions. I am honored to be here with you, representing the people of the United States, the FBI, who tackle the complex and grave threats we face with perseverance, professionalism, and integrity. Our nation faces serious and evolving threats ranging from international terrorists to hostile foreign intelligence operatives, from sophisticated cyber attacks to internet-facilitated sexual exploitation of children, from violent gangs and criminal organizations to public corruption and corporate fraud. Keeping pace with these threats is a significant challenge. Our adversaries take advantage of the internet, social media, and emerging technologies like artificial intelligence to influence the American people, facilitate illegal activities, and recruit followers. Even as 2026 marks the 25th anniversary of the 9/11 attacks, terrorism remains a persistent but evolving threat. Over the past several years, the FBI has identified a particularly concerning uptick in the radicalization of young people. Radicalization of domestic terrorists most often occurs online. Social media and encryption have increased the speed and accessibility of the violent extremist content. International terrorists continue to pose one of the greatest, most immediate threats to the homeland. Some international terrorists and people located and radicalized to violence primarily inside the United States who are not receiving individualized direction from foreign terrorist organizations or FTOs, but are inspired to commit violence by FTOs such as ISIS and Al-Qaeda. Iran continues to plot attacks against former government officials in retaliation for the January 2020 death of Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, or IRGC, Commander Qasem Soleimani. Iran also continues to provide support to its proxies and terrorist organizations throughout the world, such as Lebanese Hezbollah. China, Russia, Iran, North Korea, and criminal ransomware continue to be the top cyber threats facing the United States. And there's no clear line where cyber criminal activity ends and nation-state activity begins. Critical infrastructure remains a highly attractive target for cyber criminals and nation-state actors due to the potential to cause widespread disruption, financial damage, and risk to our national security. The United States faces foreign intelligence threats as nations such as the People's Republic of China, Russia, and Iran become more aggressive and capable than ever. The PRC has deliberately created an environment that abuses global interconnectedness and encourages intellectual property acquisition using human intelligence officers, corrupt corporate insiders, foreign direct investment, and cyber intrusions. Russia continues to seek and acquire U.S. technologies to help rebuild its defense industrial base, relying on complex procurement networks to evade U.S. export controls and sanctions. The United States faces many criminal threats, including violent crime, financial and healthcare fraud, transnational and regional organized criminal enterprises, crimes against children and human trafficking, violent threats against public election officials, personnel, and public corruption. Currently, the FBI-led task forces are staffed with over 9,000 federal, state, local, tribal, and territorial partners. Many of these task forces are focused on cartels, violent crime, drug trafficking, child exploitation, and human trafficking across our nation's communities. The FBI has and continues to establish strong capabilities to assess the threats, share intelligence, and leverage key technologies. We recruit the best to serve as special agents, intelligence analysts, and professional staff. Our leadership team views change and transformation as a positive tool for keeping the FBI focused on the gravest threats facing our nation. Over the past few months, we started the process to relocate hundreds of positions from the National Capital Region out to field offices across the country. This enhancement to field resources increases our investigative capacity across our 56 field offices and enhances the FBI's commitment to addressing violent crime, gangs, drugs, counterintelligence, and terrorism threats. Our fellow citizens look to us to protect the homeland from these threats. And every day, the men and women of the FBI continue to meet and exceed these expectations. I'm proud to represent them in testimony today, and I welcome your questions.
Thank you, Director Glasheen. My understanding is a witness may have to leave early today. While I want to be clear, the committee did not agree to a hard stop. All witnesses are here voluntarily and are free to go. If a witness does leave, the hearing will continue with the remaining witnesses. Members will be recognized by order of seniority for their 5 minutes of question. We want to get through as many members as possible, so even though I have been lenient before with the 5 minutes, I'm directing members and witnesses that we're going to strictly enforce the 5-minute rule today. I now recognize myself for 5 minutes of questions. Secretary Noem, I appreciate you being here today, and you've been on the job less than a year, and this is the second time appearing before the committee, which I think is the norm, and I do really appreciate you being here. And I know you have a very important job to do. You oversee a lot of different sub-agencies, so I know you can't always be here in person. And with that, as a committee, we still want to work with the administration and conduct our oversight. So I'm asking you if you can commit to making sure that in the future, if we want to have a hearing, you'll be able to supply maybe a deputy secretary or somebody to come to specifically talk about that.
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
I really appreciate that communication, and I think collaboration between the administration and Congress is key. Secretary Noem, I also wanted to ask you, in September, the department under FEMA proposed new allocations for counterterrorism grant funding, which cut dollars to New York by 80% because of a new formula. Considering New York is consistently a top terror target, this was surprising. We're grateful President Trump restored this grant funding, and pursuant to the present direction, has the department increased the allocation to New York?
Yes, President Trump did. I would say that when we look at the Homeland Security grants and how they're allocated, the formula focuses on where we see the threats today and where those communities are that need the resources. I would also inform the committee and you, Mr. Chairman, that New York City at the time of the allocation still had over $440 million in reserve that was available to them to utilize. So the intention of these grants is that communities and cities would use the dollars to build up the security measures that they need to do for a long-term impact, and that the same amount of dollars aren't necessary every single year. You need to meet the threats where they are in the country at the time the grant dollars are available. So thank you to all of you for your work on getting us dollars that we can give to grants to help secure our local communities and states. But when we're looking at cities that have hundreds of millions of dollars in reserves, we recognize that giving them hundreds of dollars of millions more may not be appropriate considering all of the threats that we have. But President Trump has sent more resources to New York City. We'll continue to meet the threats head on because that is our mission, is to make sure that we're looking at every single threat that we have. The formula that we have considered and have put in place.
And we will get back to the Q&A section here of the Homeland Security annual hearing on global threats to the U.S. in just a couple of minutes. You're watching Live Impact News on WCNC+. Back here now at 10:45 on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. We'll get you back out to the Homeland Security annual hearing now on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus.
To a mass event. Thank you very much. I yield back. I now recognize the ranking member for 5 minutes of questions.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Gladstein, will you tell me the organizations that pose on the domestic side, two of the organizations, number one, number two, threat to the homeland at this point?
Can you please clarify, like organizations?
Any domestic terrorist organization that poses a threat to the homeland as we speak?
I'd say the first one, President Trump had just announced executive order domestic terrorist organization, Antifa. That's our primary concern right now.
All right, that's what President Trump did. What does the FBI say?
We share the same view. When you look at the data right now, you look at the domestic terrorist threat that we're facing. Right now, what I see from my position is that's the most immediate violent threat that we're facing on the domestic side.
So where is Antifa headquartered?
What we're doing right now with the organization.
Where in the United States does Antifa exist? If it's a terrorist organization, and you've identified it as number one.
We are building out the infrastructure right now.
So what does that mean? We're trying to get the information. You say Antifa is a terrorist organization. Tell us as a committee, how did you come to that? Where do they exist? How many members do they have in the United States as of right now?
Well, that's very fluid. It's ongoing for us to understand that. The same, no different than Al-Qaeda and ISIS.
No, I don't want you. I've asked one question, sir. I just want you to tell us. If you said Antifa is the #1 domestic terrorist organization operating in the United States, I just need to know where they are, how many people. I don't want a name. I don't want anything like that. Just how many people have you identified with the FBI that Antifa is made of?
Well, the investigations are active.
Sir, you wouldn't come to this committee and say something you can't prove. I know. I know you wouldn't do that. But you did. Madam Secretary, you and the gentleman from NCTC reference the unfortunate accident that occurred with the National Guardsman being killed.
You think that was an unfortunate accident?
I mean,
It was a terrorist attack.
wait. Look, I'll get it straight. Then you can
He shot our
respond.
National Guardsman in the head.
Look, Mr. Chairman, will you direct the witness to allow me to ask my question? It was an unfortunate situation, but you blamed it solely on Joe Biden. I want you to know who approved the asylum application for this same person.
Mr. Thompson, this individual that came into the country.
No, I want to know who approved.
Congressman Thompson, I want you to understand when this individual came into the country, he came under
I'm not going to let you.
Evacuation of Afghanistan under Operation Allies Welcome, was thoroughly vetted by the Biden administration at that point in time, allowed into our country, and then was never followed up. I want to remind everybody in Congress.
Reclaim my time.
We follow the law, and every asylum is supposed to have a check-in every single year, and the Biden administration failed to do that. They vetted this individual, allowed them into our country, and did not do
The witness will allow the gentleman to ask his question.
Yes or no? Who approved the asylum claim?
The application on the asylum was thoroughly filled out by information that was gathered by the Biden administration.
So the Biden administration approved the asylum.
The asylum application was put into place under the rules established by the Biden administration.
Reclaiming my time. I don't want to file perjury charges against you, but I'm of the opinion that the Trump administration, DHS, your DHS, approved the asylum application.
The asylum application moved forward under all of the information and vetting processes that were put in place.
All right, we need to break away from that spicy hearing right now. I'm sure there's more to come here out of Washington, D.C. with the Homeland Security Council annual hearing, because we do need to get to some breaking news. This is on a national level, but because it is Charlotte and NASCAR is Charlotte and Charlotte is NASCAR, we want to bring in our Nick Carboni about some breaking news. If you were with us just moments ago, we have learned that NASCAR has settled a federal antitrust case filed by two of its teams. One is 2311, owned by the great Michael Jordan. Our sports director, Nick Carboni, is on the phone with me right now. Nick, what can you say?
Yeah, Jane, this is big news for those who have been following this trial and those interested in the future of one of the best American sports, certainly in our region. So NASCAR, 2311, and Front Row Motorsports, obviously 2311 co-owned by Michael Jordan and driver Denny Hamlin, have settled in court in the middle of a trial that had been dragging on for the better part of 2 weeks, had looked to be going well into a third week next week here in a federal courthouse in Charlotte, North Carolina. That lawsuit has now been settled. The teams, i.e. 2311 and Front Row, Michael Jordan and Denny Hamlin, were suing NASCAR over what they deemed anti-competitive practices. The charter system was the biggest bugaboo in this trial. For the past 80 years, NASCAR has really operated its revenue sharing and structure in the same way. And recently, what charters are, they guarantee teams who buy into them a spot in every race, a certain amount of revenue sharing. Michael Jordan got into the sport having come from, obviously, the NBA and said, this is an antiquated way to do this. This is not a team-friendly way, and this is a monopolistic way to do this system. And the most recent charter agreements the teams felt were basically forced upon them. And even big name teams like Joe Gibbs Racing felt they had to sign these agreements and they had no other choice. The judge at one point in the trial agreed that the practices, certain ones by NASCAR, were a monopoly. But now the question was, could Michael Jordan and the teams win in court? And if they had won, NASCAR would have had to change the way it's done business for the better part of 80 years under the France family. If NASCAR had won, you would have likely seen eventually Michael Jordan get out of the sport entirely. So nothing good likely would have come from either side winning this trial. And that's the way it looked to be going. It looked to be to be going to one side or the other at the end of next week. The plaintiffs, i.e. Michael Jordan and the teams, rested their case yesterday. NASCAR was going to begin presenting its case in earnest today. We saw a lot of big names earlier this week testifying in this trial. Legendary team owner Richard Childress, NASCAR CEO Jim France, NASCAR executive Steve Phelps, and it got a little ugly. It got a little testy. I think, not being able to settle this ahead of a trial really brought about into the public eye some nastiness between the sides through emails. It revealed personal finances in Richard Childress's case, and the fact that he was at one point considering selling Richard Childress Racing, which is probably unthinkable in the sport itself. So they did have trial, some nastiness, but at the end of the day, this has been settled. We are waiting to see what that settlement entails. Obviously, NASCAR is going to have to make some compromises. The teams are going to have to make some compromises. But I think, from a team, from a plaintiff perspective, Michael Jordan, Denny Hamlin, 23XI, and Front Row, it's almost a win because they're likely going to see some changes to how NASCAR operates when it comes to dealing with teams and becoming more team friendly. Some of the reporting from Jenna Fryer, who we follow with the Associated Press and use a lot of her reporting, and others say the mood in the courtroom was joyous on both sides. I think the judge is glad to have this over. He at one point was bemoaning the fact that it was kind of dragging on. I think the sides, given what I just mentioned, are probably excited to have this over and behind them. It sounds like Denny Hamlin and NASCAR CEO Jim France even shared a handshake and a hug. It just begs the question, why couldn't that handshake and hug have happened behind closed doors in a pretrial settlement where there wasn't discovery, there wasn't any of this on the public record, but the judge even mentioning that this is going to be good for both sides in the sport going forward. So we'll see what the agreement holds.
Yeah, very interested to see the details on that. But sometimes, you hate to have to get all nasty and ugly, but in order for, things to crack open. But I guess that's what they needed in order to reach some kind of settlement, which they did on what would be the 9th day of this battle. So, all right. Well, Nick, appreciate you weighing in and breaking this down for us. And I know we'll hear more here on WCNC Charlotte. So thanks for taking the time. We'll see you a little bit later.
Absolutely, Jan. You got it. Big news today, and thanks for having me.
Huge. All right. Thanks. Well, there you have it, our own Nick Carboni, taking a little bit of time from the morning to talk about what this is going to mean for NASCAR and the race teams involved. So we'll take a break here on Live Impact News on WCNC+. Back in 2. All right, it looks like we're going to take this live right now. We just heard from our Nick Carboni on the settlement between NASCAR and Michael Jordan's 2311, as well as Front Row. This is live outside of the courthouse. Let's listen in live on Live Impact News.
Unfortunately, it took 16 months to get here, but I think, level heads has got us to this point to where we can actually work together and grow the sport. I'm very proud about that, and I think Jim feels the same.
Jim? I do feel the same. We can get back to focusing on what we really love, and that's racing. We spent a lot of time, and then not really focused on that so much as we need to be. So I feel like we made a very good decision together, and we have a good opportunity to continue growing the sport. We've got Denny Hamlin getting ready to go for the championship, and we need to focus on what we all love. What was the impetus that made it today and not earlier?
Level heads. In all honesty, when you get to the finish line, sometimes you have to think, not just